When Shudder's doing a pitch meeting and they hear, I want to suck, you want to make sure that they finish out that sentence with your blood and not that the sentence was, I want to suck, and then you give them money to make a movie. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Abraham's Boys. This movie does have audio description. It's done by Audio Eyes. It's written by Sean Boggs and narrated by Nicole Cyril. So check that out, because you can. That's why I reviewed it. I mean, sometimes I review stuff that's on Shudder just to remind them that they need to make their streaming service accessible, but this is one that they released outside the streaming service, so it actually has accessibility. Aren't we all excited? It's also paired with RELJ films, which I'm starting to learn is not a great sign for the future of Shudder. Anyway, so Abraham's Boys, I was watching the whole time going, if you do this right, you have a great film on your hands. If you do this wrong, no. And they're walking like this fine line the whole movie, trying to have the best of both worlds. And I don't think they pulled it off. I think they're trying to dangle two carrots in two different directions, and it just doesn't quite work. So that's the short of the review. I am going to go into spoilers because obviously that doesn't make any sense, but I need to talk directly to the film. We need to have some therapy here. So if you want to see Abraham's Boys, this is not getting a fresh score from me. But it could have. It absolutely could have. There was a way, there was a path, there was a part of me that was watching this and going, God, please pull this off. Please pull this off. No, you didn't pull it off. Fuck. Anyway, so Abraham's Boys is the story of Van Helsing, who, after everything, has decided to move his family to California. So he lives in California with his wife, Nina, and their two sons, Max and Rudy. Max is the older one, Rudy's the younger one. Doesn't have much to do, but there are two boys to make up Abraham's Boys. This is not, as much as I would have loved it to be another gay Abraham Lincoln movie, but probably would have had a better chance of success. So yeah, it throws you some weird sort of thematic ideas, suggesting to you this is Van Helsing, so he's the famous vampire hunter. The mom is walking around and she's sick with something. She's you see her and she's clearly at some level of craziness / distress, and he keeps trying to make her better. At one point they perform like a blood transfusion, like an old-timey blood transfusion. He makes his older son do the transfusion, will give up the blood to her. And other people come in, they look for him because he's a doctor. So at one point you get these people who ride in, and they're like, doctor, will you help? So I mean, there's a lot of setup here in and around these things. You see sort of a figure at times lurking. It's suggested maybe that he talks about not wanting to be found. Maybe they'll find him. He doesn't want to be found out here. It's very suggestive. It's why I liked the film to begin with is that I thought it was doing a decent job of heading in the opposite direction. And it kind of does, but it also kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too. It spends enough time establishing vampire probability that when you realize there aren't any, that it's not, he hasn't really done a great job of going back and through the whole, like, it's just me, I'm the crazy nut job. The end of it is supposed to kind of tie it up together. I kind of argue that it doesn't. Um, because there's so much backstory here. There's so much, like, I mean, they're using all the same names, the Jonathan Harker, you know. So in this world, was Count Dracula just a dude? Is this all bullshit? Does this exist in a world where there are no vampires and Van Helsing is just a crazy motherfucker? Because seems to be what we're doing here. So, which is kind of troubling, because at one point he has this, like, woman chained in the basement, and he makes his son kill her with a stake to the heart. So anyway, that's kind of what the film is it's this give and take, this push and pull. The reasons why I think it would have been excellent would have been if it had leaned into it more. I noticed that that there were things that were missing from a normal vampire movie. Like, there were things that were happening. Like, it was suggested that Nina was turning or had, like, vampire blood in her, and he kept trying to, like, balance it out. There's this, like, dramatic scene where, like, Max is, like, walking over to the window because she thinks there's something outside. Like, she's like, I can see him. He's out there. And he opens the window and it's nothing but sunlight. And she sort of, like, recoils, but nothing happens to her. There's no, like, sizzling of the skin, you know. She's just kind of like, oh, light. Well, she's also been in a dark room the whole time. So it needed to have more of a fight. It needed to dance around a little bit better. This is one of those films that I feel like on the first pass, obviously this is from, like, a newer director, somebody who doesn't have quite the groundwork in terms of horror or setup or anything like that. It's one of those films that has a great concept and just isn't executed right. I feel like this is what happened when when Chris Stuckman took his film to a film festival, and then a better director looked at it and was like, well, I'll jump on your film as a producer, and we're going to do, like, $1 million in reshoots because your film is close, but not quite there. You know, I feel like somebody needed to jump in here and do some editing and some reshoots, because there's something that's kind of cool about going against and using the preconceived notion of Van Helsing or something like a Frankenstein. And, you know, well, you know the story, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then the story's just all bullshit, and it's just the guy's crazy and he just kills people. And, like, that's this thing, is that basically they just have, like, a serial killer for a father, but he thinks he's doing this, like, righteous path thing. So there's this weird lean to it. But man, this film just doesn't know how to land it. It's kind of slow. It kind of meanders. It can't ever go too far with the vampire thing, but it always wants to dangle that carrot in front of you. It always wants you to be like, maybe there are vampires. Maybe there are. Okay. And I looked back on a lot of the times, and I feel like they did go back through and answer some of that for me. Like, one of the times when Max sees what we would think is a vampire, is in a dream sequence. So that goes away. So they're able to show you this frightening vampire thing, and then Max wakes up and it's not a vampire. Like, the vampire was never there. Or was he? You know. So, and we're already shown this figure whose face we can't see in the shadows, who's, like, lurking out in the forest. It's just fucking Abraham later on, like, staring at his own house creepily from the woods. Come on now. Like, Yeah, because later on he walks up and it's mentioned like the same garb and that the random person in the woods was wearing, and he takes it off, and you're like, oh, it's Abraham, it's Titus Welliver. All right, so yeah, uh, I I think this film got close, but I think this film was like a couple edits and tweaks from where it needed to be. The tension, the rising tension. Um, Max is an odd protagonist. I feel like I needed a stronger actor in this role. He's not the greatest teen actor. I hate making fun of kids. I'm not going to do that. But I'm also going to say I felt like all the stuff that was put in he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, mainly because Rudy doesn't have much to do except be the little brother who's more scared and grossed out by everything than he is. Like anytime that Rudy is ever included on anything, he's like, oh, fuck no. Like that's his shtick. Max is the older one who has to like stand up for everything and try to help his mom and protect his little brother. He's got to be the man of the house. And it just wasn't working for me. Like every once in a while you see these actors, these young actors, and they have to like go toe to toe with somebody who's like a great actor. Brad Renfro was great at this back in the day. I mean, Brad Renfro a couple times had to stand up against like great actors in the scenes. Like he had to do scenes with Susan Sarandon and Tommy Lee Jones in The Client. He starred opposite Ian McKellen in Apt Pupil. So I don't know who this kid is. I just don't think he has it. He doesn't have the requisite need to drive the film in the direction that it needs to. And then at the end, when he's sort of left there holding everything, and Claire's backing, what was her name? No, it wasn't Claire. It was like Ethel or something. I don't know. Elaine, Ellen, something. I don't know. Is backing away from him, and he's like, "You're safe now." And I didn't even know that didn't even work for me because, of course, she's like scared of him because he just came in with an axe and killed his dad and saved her life. But now she's like, "Wait a minute," you know. And I'm like, girl, he just saved you. Like, he's letting you go. Why are you anyway? So, yeah, I said spoilers. I needed because this is such a thin line. This is not like a hard rotten for me. This isn't like a kill it with fire, run from it. My thing at the beginning was Joe. I wanted to do the vampire thing, but I didn't want to talk the entire time like that. Ivan Pusakyoba. Welcome to the review of Abraham's Boys. I was going to get old real fast. So, the audio description is great. I thought this is really, really, really well balanced. Audio Eyes likes to do this thing, which sometimes they land it. I gotta be honest. Every once in a while, it's like, it becomes a bit much. But sometimes they land it. This film comes close. I love Nicole, and I'm not against performative audio description. This one does seem more like they're following rising and mounting tension. Some of the other films that they do for Shudder, it just all of a sudden just sounds like they're shouting at you, like the audio, like the narrator's just suddenly screaming for no apparent reason, other than the fact that this is a really intense moment, or something gory is happening or scary or whatever. So like that's how they mount the tension, is that they'll be like, she sits in the room, and then all of a sudden, behind his head, and you're like, oh Jesus fucking Christ. So getting jump scared by audio description from Audio Eyes is fun. Nicole does it a little bit here, but it's sort of weird where she does it too, because it's like with the opening of because there's nothing scary here. I mean, really, I mean, it's gory, but it's not, I wouldn't classify this as scary. So, like the opening of the window, is built to this mounting tension, and then he opens the window and there's nothing there. Or when Max goes to drive the stake in, like that's when she uses the rising voice. So she's trying to make the most out of this movie, and I think that's what's kind of hilarious, is since there really isn't anything in this, she finds the other moments of like rising tension and highlights those, which is kind of great. And it's less of a jump scare moment because, like I said, there's nothing scary here about the movie. And also, she doesn't come across as yelling at you. There's a difference between building the voice and slowly like rising and getting it louder, and then all of a sudden just somebody shouting at you just because. So it's a mixed bag. This isn't like a hard rotten for me, but this is a rotten. I think this film missed out. I think there are opportunities here. Had somebody come along and edited the film in a better way. Had somebody come along and been like, "You're onto something. I'll give you that. You're onto something, sir, or ma'am. I don't know. Is this a male or female? I don't know. But you're onto something, and let me fix it for you. Let me just slide into there. Give me producer credit, and we'll brush this up for you and send you on your way." I mean, this film is so good, so close to being great. It's one of those films that if the script had been passed around to the right director and never even touched this director, they would have immediately brushed it up, polished it, sent it off, and it would be like in theaters as a horror classic right now. It's got a great concept, but now it's been blown. You know, the idea of like relying on the audience's preconceived notions about who Van Helsing is and then just being like, nah, that's bullshit. It's a great concept. Not correctly executed, though. So Abraham's Boys, I'm going to go a 5.2 out of 10. So not horribly rotten. I've given lower scores this year. This is like 4 full points above War of the Worlds. So if you're struggling between Abraham's Boys and War of the Worlds, please watch this. There are parts of this. You'll see the glimmers and you'll be like, oh God, there's something here. I just don't think they made it. I don't think they made it across the finish line. So sad but true. All right. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.